So we all know when it comes to any hobby or craft, whether it's filmmaking, photography, knitting, sewing, cooking, playing basketball, playing football. Why don't they call basketball handball if football? Let's take filmmaking, for example, right? And that's what today's video is about. Filmmaking, I have my phone on me right now, but you have all these like little screws and knickknacks and gadgets. And you have all these screws and knickknacks and gadgets and doohickeys and doodads that go along with your camera, that go with your tripod, that go with your carrying case. And there's a million different companies and different things that you can get for your thing. It's basically just things for your things. I enjoy using those things a lot. I find myself needing them, especially when I got the camera I'm shooting on now, which is the SONY FX30. Very beautiful camera. And more than the cost of the actual camera or the microphone itself or the lenses and the heavier price tag things, more than that, you actually have these little things for your things that end up costing a lot of money. You know, you have your Ulanzi, your Smallrig, you have your newer, is it newer or newer? However you pronounce that brand. You have your basic like cheaper brands, you have Tilta and stuff like that. Basically, I'm a little tired of just getting the same, you know, hopping on Amazon. Oh, I need a monitor holder or a monitor mount. And then you go on Amazon, from that monitor mount, you know, you find your Smallrig, your most recommended items, 25 bucks, 40 bucks, 50 bucks. You can get it, but today's video is about making it yourself. What we're gonna make is a 3D printed side grip, or a camera handle, or a side camera grip, or a handle for your side grip we're gonna make the side thingy that you hold up. This is a version that someone else made, but it inspired me to take this a bit further, and I can also make it whatever color I want. I can add whatever features I want, which there are some that we're gonna add in this video. And ultimately, since I would have made it myself, when I go to use it, it's gonna be a lot more gratifying because I can look at it, I can show other people, they're gonna be like, whoa, where'd you get that? We're gonna see what we make out of this camera handle side grip, handle grip thing for my film rig. Oh yeah, one more thing. Yep, so normal people on YouTube give an intro and they introduce themselves. I'm Jay. That's it, let's get to the design. I'll see y'all later. I just found an old file from 416 concept side handle grip.blend. Let's see what this looks like. Interesting. Let's close out of that. We're gonna make a brand new, I think around this size is a pretty good size. Whatever this is, whatever height this is perfect. But this first design, I'm really just gonna eyeball it to get a version out so that I'm not measuring. This piece is gonna mount onto the camera, and then the grip is gonna mount onto that piece. And then that's how it's gonna work. For the screws, I have this little bag of 1/4 inch. We're gonna give it 9.2 mils of clearance and 4 mils deep, 9.2, 4 mils. And I'm gonna join them now so that they keep their relationship. And we're going to cut it out of this object here. Now this object is kind of the arm, and this is the fun part. We're actually gonna extend that a bit more, rotate that this way. I'm gonna take these same screws, but this time I can space them out, but I'm gonna put them about here. With this, I'm gonna make a smaller one, go like this. We're gonna cut out of it, because what we're gonna do is make a window here. We're gonna make a window with that, kind of like a slot that this can go through, that the screws can go through, that is. In order to get really complex shapes and cool looking like features and stuff like that, take a look at a car, for example. Like, let's look up the Kia EV6. Perfect example. So when you're looking at a car like this, right, chances are that they had a really blocky version in the design, in the CAD design, and you use the blocky version to snap faces that you need to dimensionally fit, right? And then you take those faces and you apply what they call a subdivision modifier. And then you get these curvy shapes. And after that, you can still manipulate the low poly version. But as you're manipulating the low poly version, you're running that through the sub D modifier. So it's smoothing it out as you're editing. We're going to see that right now. So currently we have this thing super blocky, right? If we go ahead and add a subdivision modifier, it turns into this. And it's literally taking all those faces and subdividing each face into smaller faces. We're only at a level of 2, so let's crank that up. For now, let's crank it up to 4. So now it still looks weird, right? The faces I want to keep are this face, for example, so we can crease that face. Cool, so let's zoom through all this. I'm gonna do the same thing with this bottom here. Just gonna give that all a crease. That's what I want, that's what I want. Awesome sauce. All right, so screws are gonna go through here into the camera cage. And then some heated inserts are gonna go into, and then this side we're gonna have boom, and then you're gonna have boom, screws go into that. Finally at the last piece, and I've been recording for I don't know how long. You want to take your time and you want to get a first version out, a second version out. As you can see, this is super rough at the moment, but you want to get multiple versions out. You want to give yourself time to try different things. You know, we're going to print this and it's going to be a first version. So let's mirror that side to that side and boom, now that's fixed. Let's go ahead and save, exit out. There's one more thing I want to do, one more thing. And this looks weird now, but as soon as we Boolean cut with that, now you have your hot shoe mount, kind of. G size X, move it out a little bit. Something like that might work. Let's save. So now we're looking at our side grip handle. And side note, I'm really making it this simple because I just want to print it and see how it fits and looks. And then I can dial in like a cooler shape. So I may have gotten like a little bit impatient, but that doesn't matter. I'm gonna use this roll of filament. This is a matte blue filament. So all we're doing is just getting the orientation that I want to print it in. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the software that lets you slice your model into printable layers, and then you send this to the printer. This is all PLA, so I'm not worried about it sticking or anything like that. Let's do a skirt 7 times around 7 millimeters away from the object. In the outer brim, I actually do want a brim. Let's do a 10 millimeter brim. The infill we're gonna do for strength, let's go 25. Let's go triangles and let's do 35% triangles. For speed, let's go, that speed's fine. For infill, 4.5, let's do 5.5. These lines are good. For the height, 0.2 is fine. 235 for the temp. Awesome. Cooling, we're gonna do 100%. And now this should have support. Cool. Here's the models that we dropped in, and here's the slice and what it looks like. And this is what our infill looks like too. Nice and triangular. So that'll provide a pretty strong structure on the inside. All right, y'all, so this is the cinnamon rig that I use with the SONY FX30. And as you can see, there's a lot of different pieces on here, but each one has its purpose and really just makes the filmmaking process easier. And it also makes the shot itself look cleaner. So this is our final product right here. We have the 3D printed handle mount that we recently put together. The first flaw that I noticed was that these screws don't completely sit or support well. They actually kind of slide into this opening here. So first thing, version 2 is to fix that error. The second error isn't really an error, but it's more aesthetic. This is very blocky, non-ergonomic to the hand. It really just works for general holding onto. So yeah, it's not really error, it's more aesthetic. And we'll test this in a second to see how well that works. So before we throw this on the rig, we have the SONY FX30 as a body. And then we have a Smallrig camera cage, which is really just a nice option to mount different equipment to the body of the camera. We have a Sirui 35mm lens, which is very nice. Next, you have the top handle here, which is one way that you can hold the camera and one way that you can get different grips and shoot from different angles, handheld wise. These rails let you mount a V-mount battery on the back. I have the Smallrig 99. This thing charges quick and it lasts forever. Next, you have this cool thing here that I made a little cloud, put it on there. This is the matte box. So this actually lets you put filters, like things such as mist filters, ND filters, and you can actually slide in and out those different filters. The other purpose of a matte box, which is highly controversial, is that this hood here actually, kind of like when you're in the car and you have sun glare coming in. That's exactly what this does. But the purpose is that without the matte box, you might have unwanted light sources hitting your sensor, hitting your lens and going into your sensor. That washes out the image and makes it look drier. But with the matte box, you can block out unwanted glares from, like, you know, tungsten light or a street lamp or like the sun even. And then you get a much more saturated, contrasty image because you're blocking out unwanted light. And lastly, you have your HDMI monitor, which just lets you run the same thing you see on this screen, but on a different screen. And sometimes some additional tools like false color and other things that help like get a nice exposure and get a nice shot. All right, so we installed these two screws and really you just put it up to the two screws that we decided to mount it onto, and we're gonna throw it on. First, we're just gonna kind of get it generally set in there. Yeah, so whenever I'm attaching something, I like to get it knocked into the screws first and then just kind of drive the rest of them in. This is a very simple installation, unlike this 15mm rod set and Arca Swiss plate. Like these two attachments here, you have to take off one by one to access if you don't have like quick release stuff yet. And typically the quick release appliances are more expensive up front, but if you just want the simple, like get the job done one, you're usually gonna have to strip it down part by part, which could be tedious for you, could not be if you enjoy that kind of thing. I'm somewhere in between those two mediums personally. All done, an Allen key, some screws you get on Amazon for $9. Now we have the side handle attached. I did screw in the screws all the way, pretty much like fully hand tight. So this thing's on there sturdy. These screws aren't resting fully on the surface. If these are over tight, and it is possible for them to slip through the other side. So I'm not gonna yank this thing around and break my entire rig. So I'm gonna play it slightly safe, but I'm gonna use it normally and demonstrate this thing is like pretty strong. Okay, so I'm over here recording with the A6000, shooting the SONY FX30. Yep, we're gonna give it a one-handed whirl. There we go. I don't know how much this camera rig weighs at the moment. It's pretty weighty, pretty nice. All right, y'all, that is a wrap for the FX30 side grip. And we're calling this FX30 side grip Int 1. Comment below, let me know if you'd want to see an Int 2 and what your ideas would be for an Int 2. This is an open source project I'm deciding to release, so check out the description down below for the actual high-res STL file of what we made here, exactly what you saw and what you're looking at. You can take that STL file and you can print it yourself. You can make one for a friend. You can modify it and re-upload it. I hope you had fun with this. And we're gonna be doing a lot more 3D printing and building things DIY from scratch. So check it out. All right, y'all, that is a wrap for the FX30 side grid. I hope you enjoyed it, honestly.